This episode of Nintendo Voice Chat is brought to you by Monopoly Madness.
Hello, Super Nintendos. Welcome to NVC episode 591, the Nontendo Game Awards. I'm your host, Seth Macy. Today, I am joined by Rebekah Valentine.
Man, what a bummer of a Game Awards it was for Nintendo people.
Know. Back by popular demand, Tom Marks, the fan favorite Tom Marks.
Oh, you're too kind and probably lying, but thank you.
No, I'm not lying. Why would I lie? What would I gain from telling you that people like you?
Well, you like you more. You're buttering me up.
Diabolical. I hadn't thought of that. It's Machiavellian.
Does it help if I say I missed you too?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be back. It's been so long since I've been on this show.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to have you back on this Friday. We delayed recording, and people were like, "Where's my episode of NBC?" We're like, "Whoa, we got to hold off because the Game Awards are happening on Thursday." Now, I want to bust sort of a common misconception rather, that people have about us working in covering video games. We don't know what's happening. We didn't delay pending we knew that the Breath of the Wild 3 was going to be announced. We were just anticipating something happening at the Game Awards and not wanting to not be able to discuss it for a whole week. So yeah, people I know in real life will be like, "Hey, you work for IGN. When's that new Nintendo Switch Pro coming out?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So yeah, I apologize for getting people's hopes up, but next time when we delay the show, you'll know we don't know anything.
It's especially true for Nintendo too, because we get some things in advance. Nintendo, literally never. No idea at any time. No one has any.
No, and kind of famously, the Nintendo will tweet something out, and then an hour later, you'll get a press release about it. And be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and then we sit and we prep articles based on what we're guessing. So we're sitting there thinking, "Oh, maybe we'll get a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer," and we write a shell of an article, or that we can fill in with the details if there is a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer.
Yep, it's one of my favorite things is after E3 or the Game Awards or anything is you look in the CMS at all these just sad articles that didn't come true. All this wish fulfillment that just didn't happen, and
we've delayed shows for official Nintendo events that ended up not having any interesting announcements, right? It doesn't need to be a big Game Awards announcement either. We've been there's going to be a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, and then it's all Bakugan, and we're sad, right? It's
the Bakugan event.
I forgot about the Bakugan event. Well, it's funny because the Bakugan event was actually more eventful for Nintendo than the Game Awards. That is unfair. I shouldn't say that because we did get a look at the Monster Hunter Rise expansion, which was very exciting, which was in the pre-show actually, which was a little bit of a weird place to put it. But so have either one of you had Monster Hunter sink its hooks into you? Actually, Tom, didn't you review? Yeah. So what are your thoughts about this expansion with an entranced roar?
Well, I'm definitely excited for the expansion, which is coming. I don't think it has a date yet, right? It's next summer, basically.
Yeah,
right now.
I think 2022.
Yeah, and this trailer was cool. It was a classic sort of just show off a new monster, show off a little armor, show off a little other stuff, but not there wasn't a lot of meat to it beyond if you want to really dig into the nitty gritty of little reveals here and there. But at the same time, it is a very encouraging thing to me that we get to see this new. They're Elgato, I think was the name, right? The hub, this new kind of hub area that we're going to have. And we didn't see what the hub is actually going to look like, the new city. But I like the idea of what we saw in this trailer of it's not just more of the sort of ancient Japanese vibe that Rise had, right? Or the feudal Japan, which I loved. I loved that look in Rise, but I like the idea that the expansion is going to be doing something new, going somewhere a little different, trying some other stuff out in a way that I wasn't necessarily expecting.
Yeah. And this was originally revealed, was it back in August? Was when they first showed during
I think so. Maybe
September. I don't know. Somebody's yelling at me, telling me I'm supposed to be, I should know all this stuff because I'm a professional. But Reb, are you in the Monster Hunter game?
No, I think I've said this on the show before, so I won't disappoint everybody by reiterating it too much. But it's just, it looks amazing. I am super happy for people who love this kind of game. I've tried a couple versions of Monster Hunter before, and it's just never quite captured me. So I just don't mess with it. I thought this trailer, I'm glad Tom liked it, because from the outside looking in, it did not look like anything to me. I was like sitting there. I was assigned to write this article when this came up, and I'm like, okay, details. What details did we learn from this? And I'm like, all right, there's a monster, and we saw a place in the distance, and there's a person with a sword. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What
and I know,
activity
the
do you
Monster Hunter
do
people are like, no,
with
there was
this
all
monster?
these things. They were like amiibo at the end. But yeah, I thought. As someone who's not super into Monster Hunter, I did not immediately look at this trailer and go, wow, that looks like something I want to play. Look at all that meat and content and gameplay.
Right.
But maybe other people feel differently, and that's okay. I hope you're happy.
There's stuff that can be gleaned from it, but it does not like show a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, of course, during the pre-show, which started at 4:30.
Yeah. It was like the second thing in the pre-show.
Yeah.
It was very early.
Yeah. Hosted by Sydney Goodman. What's up, Sid? It's nice to see you out there doing your hosting thing again. This was something that they didn't, I don't think in the trailer specifically said it was coming to Switch, but then this morning when I was, just reading back up on everything, and I saw Nintendo had tweeted out Sonic Frontiers, which is Sonic of the Wild. It's an open world Sonic the Hedgehog game, which,
yeah.
I mean, the thing with a Sonic game is you're like, all you can do is go, I hope they pull it off. I don't know.
Really weird.
It's a pretty high concept. I mean, pulling off an open world game with even Breath of the Wild is it's sort of the continuation of that exploration of the original 8-bit, Legend of Zelda. It makes sense. It translates extremely well. Can they translate a side-scrolling game with a blue mouse with spikes on him? We shall see. They did it with Mario, but that's Shigeru Miyamoto magic. So Sonic Frontiers looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, Sonic has been trying for years to do anything but the thing that everybody loves it to do, which is, as you described, the side-scrolling thing, and it's been with very limited success. And they discovered what was the one recently that was the remake or whatever of all the original levels, or
Sonic
Mania, whatever that was.
That was a new game, but yeah.
That was a new game. Okay, people loved that because it was like Sonic.
Yeah.
And they keep trying to make things that are not like Sonic. I'm a weirdo who has a soft spot in her heart for Adventure Battle and Adventure 2 Battle or whatever. They're on the GameCube, whatever those were.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're a child. You didn't know.
I mean, it's
Hey, whoa.
But it's funny,
great.
right? It is great. I love that game. But it's funny, right? They've tried everything else. Nothing's quite worked except the original thing. They don't want to just keep doing the original thing over and over. So okay, well, everyone's doing Breath of the Wild now, so let's just make it Breath of the Wild. Sure. I mean, maybe that's the thing we can do. And it does look very nice, but it looks very nice in the way that anytime you put a beloved character into a big grassy field with distant mountains, it's going to look nice. Yeah. We're all going to get excited about it. So I don't know.
Was it confirmed that it was open world, or is that something we all sort of collectively filled in? Because I remember when Pokemon Arceus was first revealed, we're all like, oh, it's Pokemon of the Wild. It's Breath of the Wild, but with Pokemon. But then we find out, oh, it's actually not really like that. Now I'm wondering if Sonic Frontiers.
I think that the exact wording they used was open zone.
Open zone, yes.
Okay, so it's not.
Which to me implies that it's not like Breath of the Wild, where it's a full open world, but that you will have each level, each zone will be wider open, right, where you can explore in a non-linear way. Is the implication of that to me?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. You know what I'll say though is I'm really skeptical of the idea of an open world Sonic game for all of the reasons that we've already talked about here, but I also think too, and this is not Nintendo, but Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart came out earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
And it had one section that was this sort of large open space where at that point you have these rocket boots that you're zipping around this large open space really fast. And there are some platforming-y challenges and that sort of thing. And it felt a lot like what a fast-paced open world Sonic game could be in my eyes. And that really, I think, worked. Granted, Ratchet & Clank also has, 1,200 guns that you're using, and it's a very different type of game in terms of combat and the goal and all.
Hey, Sonic games have had guns.
That's fair. That's true. They have. So there's a lot of differences, but that I do see that level in Ratchet and Clank as like a proof of concept of like how this could be fun. Like I'm not so skeptical of this that I think it's outright going to be bad 100%. But I do agree with what Reb was saying of like, this isn't really what a lot of people have been saying they like about Sonic, especially in recent years. And so I'm like, they're going to have to prove themselves on this one, I guess. And I'm not saying they can't, but it's like, I'm not sold immediately just because it's pretty.
Yeah, I'm going in with an open mind, open heart. I think they could surprise us. What was that last Sonic game where you get to make your own Sonic character? That one seemed like it had a lot of promise. And my son Parker really liked making his own character, but even he was like, the game's not that great. But I like making.
Doesn't love a character creator.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's cool Sonic characters.
Stick with me here for a second.
All
Have
right.
either of you ever played XO1?
No.
Oh, is that the alien game, the satellite game?
Yeah. So I played that recently. I don't know what platforms it's on. I played it on Game Pass, so it's probably not a Nintendo game. But that's this indie where you play as like a little orb guy. And there's different methods of movement, but the primary one is you control your personal gravity. So you either increase your gravity so you shoot down to the ground, or you release so that you float. And the way you move is by you increase the gravity on downhill slopes so you go very fast. And then when you hit an uphill slope, you let go and you fly off of them and you can float. And you have sort of a glide function and a little double jump and a few other things. But that game felt like a Sonic game. And you're doing this on the surface of all these planets. So you're basically soaring around these planets with water and mountains and forests and all these different features and moving up their different geographies and topographies as you go. That was quite fun. It was imperfect in some ways, but I remember playing that and thinking, okay, open world Sonic.
Okay.
That was nice. I don't think that's what this is going to be, but I do think it's maybe proof of sort of the basic idea that you can play as a little guy going very fast in an open world and it can be fun.
You got to go fast.
Yes. Also play XO1 if you can. It's great.
I'm going to try. Is it on Nintendo Switch?
No.
It's the only console
it's
I
on
play
Game
now.
Pass.
Oh. We'll talk about that later anyway. little treat for you. Are either one of you into Cuphead? Nope. Silence tells me that.
Yeah.
Into is maybe going a little far. I played it when it first came out.
Yeah.
What Tom said.
I'm the same. Well, we've got Cuphead, the delicious last course, which is kind of genius because it's the DLC and you'll never forget it. It's a little mnemonic to help you remember. I'm kind of like the two of you. I played it when it came out. I appreciated the hell out of the design and the difficulty. It just never really grabbed me. As much as I loved the style of it, stylistically, I think it's like one of the most incredible games of the last like 10 years. It's just beautiful. But I don't really like Cuphead that much. Not because it was hard, which it is. It just didn't grab me. So, but
That's
fair. I know like some people are super, super into Cuphead, and they must have been losing their minds. About this.
And this is like, this DLC was supposed to come out in 2019, I think.
Oh,
yes.
And then it got delayed till 2020, and then just never got a release date. And now finally,
why was that? I'm just kidding.
At the end of 2020, we finally get a date for next year or 2021 or whatever it is. I'm getting the timelines mixed up, but this game was at least a year and a half ago supposed to come out, or this DLC. So it's cool that we kind of finally have a date for it, or finally have an idea of that it's a real thing.
Yeah. God, I wish I liked the game because they captured that look of the 30s animation so perfectly, and everything about it, the character designs, just the sort of sheen of the contrast, the way that it looks like it's on this old, it's so perfect. And I'm just not into Cuphead, which is such a bummer, but absolutely respect them nailing the look in the time period.
Yeah. I thought the reveal was genuinely really cool.
Yes.
I loved the musical act they had preceding it. You knew immediately what it was. You knew immediately what it was about. And I loved, as if you're watching on video streams, the trailer we're watching now, the little model guys of all the characters moving around.
The little marionettes.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that they could very easily merchandise. Just give us all those little puppets from all the marionettes from the reveal trailer. All right.
Yeah.
We did have one big, I don't know if it's a big Nintendo news, but Metroid Dread 1 action game of the year, which
Good for it.
great. I think maybe it should have won Game of the Year, but it's totally subjective.
Nintendo didn't get awards.
Nope.
They didn't even
get much of
win.
anything.
They didn't
Not
even
even
win.
in.
Yeah. Well,
Not even in. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry. I was going to say they didn't even win what is traditionally at the Game Awards just the Nintendo category, which is Best Family Game. Were we going to say the same thing?
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is so baffling. I know it was not a super strong year for Best Family Game. It really wasn't. But
Yeah.
I am just. It Takes Two. It Takes Two is wonderful. I think it totally deserves Game of the Year. I love it. It was so much fun. That is not a game I would put in the family game category.
Don't play that game with your children. Don't play that game with your children.
Like if you know what you're getting into, if you understand if you kind of like read up on it ahead of time and understand what the themes of the game are and are prepared to talk with your kids about complicated topics like divorce and adult relationships, sure, maybe it's very fun, but no, I would not just. I think putting a big ol' fun for the whole family sign on that is certainly a choice.
Yeah. The message of that game, if you're playing that game with your kid, the message is if me and your other parent ever become unhappy, do everything you can to keep us together at any and all costs, no matter what. Which is like maybe not a message you want to explicitly teach your kids.
Yeah.
Also, we're willing to hurt you for our own gain.
Yeah.
As happens in a no spoilers, but a certain really upsetting scene.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting choice all around.
Yeah. But Metroid winning is really exciting, right? It is a phenomenal game, and it's super cool to see, Nintendo in what was a like relatively light overall year for Nintendo, right? Not like a ton of like breakout stuff. Metroid getting some recognition there is really, really nice to see because it really was a phenomenally good game.
Yes, indeed. It's just a kind of a bummer that that's all we got for Nintendo.
Yeah.
We didn't get any Nintendo trailers at all whatsoever.
I thought it was really funny this morning. I opened my inbox and I had an email, like a press email from Nintendo at the Game Awards. And I was like, wait, what did I miss?
Yeah.
And I opened it and it's exactly what we just discussed. It's them Metroid Dread winning, which great, that deserves. And then just a list of third-party things.
Yeah.
That happened to be on.
I'll be perfectly honest. At like 10:30, I was like, I just can't. I can't do this anymore. I have to go to sleep. I'm too tired. And I put my Switch down and I went to bed. And I was like, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll get all the big reveals. And I woke up this morning and I'd seen all of the big reveals. So a little bit of a down year, I would say, if I was ranking the Game Awards.
It is a little weird, isn't it? Right? I mean, last year they've had Smash reveals for the last few years, but I mean, not just that. Like Bayonetta 3 was revealed. Yeah. They've shown a Breath of the Wild trailer at the Game Awards before. Yeah. Like it's weird. It is a little weird that they just didn't bring anything first party. And they have a good lineup already next year. I mean, they've already shown a little bit of Kirby. We know Breath of the Wild 2 is coming. We know, I mean, there's some other things too. And like, it's just kind of Bayonetta's coming next year. I mean, like
finally.
Yeah.
Where are y'all?
You're totally not wrong. I don't think people were wrong to potentially expect something given the track record. Obviously, Smash is sadly done, right, with its DLC characters, but like it was not out of line to expect something. And I wonder if this is just indicative of the timing of stuff Nintendo has coming next year, and also maybe their desire to just like keep doing these little Nintendo Direct drops.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking is where their head is at, is that they have like some Nintendo Directs lined up. Because let's face it, who doesn't love a Nintendo Direct? It's 35 minutes and you lose your mind like the whole time. And they know that the stuff that you don't really care about, but you maybe are interested, they're like, and here's 75 indie games in 1 minute. And then they're perfectly paced.
Yeah. The last one wasn't long ago either. And maybe that means that should expect one in the next month, or like obviously we'll expect one in the next 2 months because they do them basically every 2 months or so now. Yeah. But maybe we should expect one earlier rather than later in January is kind of the takeaway from this potentially. I don't know, but that's totally speculative. But maybe it just means they've got stuff cooking.
They did do a Nindies reel at one point during the show. It was more of a commercial than anything. It wasn't any new announcements, but there was a brief moment when I saw that and I thought, Nindy Direct? Nindy reveals? What's happening? Is this something? Nope, it's a commercial, which is fine. I mean, technically the whole Game Awards is commercials if you really think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we could at least get a little Nindy Direct at some point. Sorry, Nintendo Indie World is what it is now.
Yes.
I still want to call them Nindies. It's cute. I don't know why they got rid of that.
Nobody's going to score you down for that one.
But to that point, Reb, and to your point also about getting that email about Nintendo, it's clear that Nintendo didn't like snub the Game Awards or anything, right?
No.
Like, they were still involved. They still had stuff. They just didn't have any major first party stuff they wanted to show off there. It was clearly like a choice, not like a separation, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Direct is better anyway because they don't have to share the space. You know, if something massively huge had been announced yesterday, you know, like, oh, The Last of Us 3 is, oh my God, you know, people would have, then they would have taken the wind out of Nintendo sales. So I think they're hedging their bets and kind of like we did by delaying the show. And, you know, we'll see what comes out of it. So that was the Nontendo Game Awards. You can watch all of that on YouTube, or you can check out all of our coverage because there's a lot of it. We put up like 65 trailers, I think, on IGN.com, the website that sends us checks every month. That's not true. It's direct deposit. It's 2021. Send us checks. I don't know.
Are you bored of board games? Then do not pass go, do not collect $200, and do not go to jail because Monopoly Madness is available now on Nintendo Switch. And if you play it, you can be just like me. Presented by Monopoly Madness! In this new Monopoly, there are 20 new playable characters inspired by the original Monopoly tokens. You can ride a bulldozer! Monopoly Madness! Destroy your way to the top in 20 arenas with multiple levels like Nightlife, Beach Town, and even Cozy Falls. Make your own rules and play the way you want. One thing's for sure, it's gonna be madness! Monopoly Madness! Monopoly Madness on Nintendo Switch. You can run Monopoly City just like me! Monopoly Madness!
But I was trying to segue from the Game Awards to IGN's Best of 2021 nominees, which are out right now. Now, this may come as a surprise to somebody who's only experience with awards for games are the Game Awards, but it turns out every other outlet in the history of video game coverage also gives out awards for the best game of the year. And
no, that can't be right.
I mean, I know it's crazy, but I was looking through an old Nintendo Power, and they used to give out something called the Nestor, which was an award for games, something of a game award. So yeah, our nominees for the best of 2021 are out right now. And like an idiot, I didn't bullet them. So if you're watching this video and you see my arm in a strange angle, it's because I have to keep opening up the tab that I have them in. So yeah, make sure to check out our Game of the Year coverage because it is like a tremendous effort. Like everybody in the company basically like chips in to help out and to write blurbs and to vote. Unless you're like me and you didn't play some of the games, and then you have to opt out because it wouldn't be fair. I can't say what the Game of the Year is when I haven't played Deathloop yet. But yeah, Game of the Year, our contenders are Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, Hitman 3, Inscription, It Takes Two, and Metroid Dread. Oh my goodness. Metroid
It's a good
Dread.
lineup.
It is a good
game.
lineup, actually. Yeah, I haven't played It Takes Two. I know that won the Game Award for Game of the Year.
It's really good.
I know.
It's really good.
I know it's really good, but it's co-op, right?
Well, the story's bad. But forget, just ignore the story. Just play it. It's great. It doesn't matter.
But it's only co-op. You can only play it.
Yes.
That's good.
No, I hate
that.
co-op games. I hate them.
Oh.
Do you know that Portal 2 almost destroyed my marriage? We were getting so mad at one another during it's like, no, you put that co-op mode in Portal 2.
Okay, but you clearly have somebody at home to play this game with.
Yeah, and I'm not going to because I don't like co-op games. I'll watch some streamers do it or something. I'm not trying to like diminish anything from It Takes Two. Like, it won the award for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It is a nominee for us in Game of the Year. And so I am certain that this game, we gave it a 9 out of 10. It's which is amazing. And I'm not trying to diminish that. I'm just saying, I don't really like co-op games. They make me mad. I'm a loner. I have to play games by myself. You know what? Oh my God, I just realized what my problem with co-op games is right now. It just occurred to me in this breakthrough moment. It's when I was a kid and I'd say, Mom, I want Final Fantasy. And she'd say, well, is it a 2-player game? I'd say, no. She says, well, how are you going to play it with your brother then? So I was forced to play co-op games as a child. And now I have a resentment towards them. So nothing against Take Two. It's some deep childhood issues that I have to.
Hey, Tom, it's too bad that Seth never learned that it really does take two.
Got him.
Well,
Yeah, It Takes Two sadly isn't on Switch yet, or I think has no plans at this point to be on Switch.
They ever put a way out on Switch?
I don't remember.
I don't remember that either.
I can check.
But yeah.
Actually, you know what? I bet that never comes to Switch because isn't the whole thing around A Way Out and It Takes Two that you buy one copy and you effectively get 2 copies because you can play with a co-op to play with someone else?
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Nintendo won't allow that nonsense.
And A Way Out did not come to Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a really cool thing about that is that if you have one copy of It Takes Two or A Way Out, you can just let someone guest jump in to play with you.
Yeah.
The nominee list is kind of our own nominee list is kind of going back to a little bit of what I was saying, right? Like Metroid Dread is a standout, but I think of the 10 games we nominated, that's the only one on Switch.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Does Village have a streaming version? I can't remember. I know they did that with 7.
I don't know.
I'll look that up too. But the point
Yell at
being,
me in the comments.
It wasn't it was a good year for Nintendo. It wasn't a bad year for Nintendo. It was just kind of a quiet one.
Yeah. I mean, as great as Metroid Dread is, and as well as it did, financially, it sold a lot. It was at the top of the eShop for a month. The average person on the street is like, oh, Metroid. Yeah, I think I remember playing that on the old Nintendo Entertainment System. It doesn't really set the world on fire. Even though, Metroid Dread's my uninformed pick since I didn't play all 10 of the games. But
as of now,
you don't have to play every game in order to like one game, Seth. I promise.
That is, how could you have an informed opinion if you don't play every game?
No.
I just remembered there's a game, and this is so irritating that I don't remember the name of it. It was like an indie game. It was a co-op game. So I'm eating my own words.
Okay.
I played it with my friend Matt.
Unravel.
Basically, no, it was like you were like Arctic explorers. And you know what I'm talking about? And you'd have to talk on the radio and describe what was in one room. And
Ice
that
Climbers.
game was Ice Climbers VR. That's right.
Oh, what was that?
It was super, really, really interesting because I remember saying oh, I see, this rune. Is there something in your room that looks the same? And he's like, oh my God, yeah. And then we would figure out the puzzles, and it was an immensely satisfying co-op experience that's probably not on Nintendo Switch.
Oh my gosh, we featured this on Nonviolent Game of the Day a billion years ago. What was this?
It was a very good game. And by the time that I had played it, I pitched it as a review, but it was the window of people being interested was, way too far gone. It was 3 months after it released. So, but
I'm going to find it.
All right. While you're looking for this game that I'm apologizing for in advance for not remembering the name of, this might come as a shock. But Sakurai says there's no plans for a Smash Brothers sequel right now, and don't assume it will come. What a surprise. There's no plans. After 750 characters and constant rebalancing, there is no plans for a Smash Brothers. Now, Tom, how realistic do you think that is? Do you think that he's just saying that?
Okay. What I will say is his advice and what he's saying here is totally valid and totally, I don't think he's lying in any way. And I think you should take his word. Did you find it? You look like...
Yeah, it's called We Were Here.
Yes! Go check that game out. That game is really cool. And it is actually a co-op game that I really enjoyed.
I just looked over and Rebs, your face was just so proud. I was like, she's got it. She's got it.
I want to make sure people know so they can look for it if they want to.
Check it out. Absolutely.
I think that you should believe Sakurai. I think that. Oh wow!
And there's Red.
Red gets so it fast. Right away.
Yeah, there it is.
I think that him saying "don't assume a new Smash Bros. Will come" is a very healthy thing to do. Because if he's saying we don't have plans for a new Smash Bros. Right now, this is a huge undertaking every time we do it. Don't assume it. That's totally fair. That said, I think I tried to find old news links for this, but Sakurai has basically said this is the last Smash Bros. 3 times in a row, right? Like he says it every time, and I believe, like, I think he is being honest every time. But I think the point is Nintendo always finds a way to do another Smash Bros. And I think that is going to be the case. I don't think you should hold your breath for it. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon if they do it. But Smash Bros. Is such an iconic series. It is such a huge series for them that I don't believe this is the last we will ever see of it. But I do also think that Sakurai is not like lying or blowing smoke or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think that the thing he said also in the same interview that if Smash does return, which I mean, I think we can assume that it will, it's not, we can't keep expecting it to get bigger and bigger, especially in terms of roster each time. And I think that is 100% going to be the case. How do you get bigger than Smash Ultimate? Like it does not, the licensing heck, that some of these characters.
It's a family show.
The licensing heck that some of these characters had to go through to get into this game. There is no way that they go through that again. Absolutely no way. I think if we see Smash return in the future, and we will, I think they will scale it back in a certain way. I don't know if that means, I don't think it means just straight up less characters. I do think it means like a different roster than we have come to expect, and maybe a different kind of Smash.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers. Oops, all sword fighters.
Oops, all sorts. It's just the Fire Emblem crew. I was thinking about this earlier. You know what I would really love to see? I would love to see a remake of the original Smash Brothers.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Just those stages, no others. Just those characters and no others. Shine it up a little bit. Approximate the original physics. So, I mean, make it better. Yeah. We're not playing on a Nintendo 64 anymore, but kind of the heavier, slower way everybody moved back then. I would love to play. I would just love to see what people do with that. I think it'd be really interesting to see what they could do with a remake with current technology, current capabilities, but also just those limitations. I think that would be very interesting.
I think that would be super cool. And it's kind of what I was thinking was that, like you said, like Ultimate, we'll never have the 193 characters again. Like that's just ridiculous. But a more close, smaller Smash experience might have to be what it is. And I think like a remake of the original would be the way to go. And then just do a couple of downloadable characters on the way. But as far as him saying there are no plans, I was remembering when they did a Nintendo Direct and they said it's going to be showcasing software for 2022. And everyone, instead of saying, oh man, I can't wait to see software in 2022, everyone said, that means they have another Direct where they're going to show the Nintendo Switch Pro confirmed, and we all got our hopes up. So if he had given anything, like any crumb of hope, then, the Twitter would have exploded. And we'd all be like, oh my God, he just confirmed that he's already working on a new Smash Brothers, and it's going to be, 4K, and you're going to use your Ring Fit wheel to punch people with it, and it's going to be incredible. It just would have stoked the fires of the imagination. So don't assume it will come is pretty much the best way to say, just shut up about it. I'll let you know when I got to let you know. It's sort of like when my kids are bugging me about like Christmas. Well, they're too old now to really care that much, but it's like, don't assume you're going to get Lego Star Wars 2 for the Xbox 360. Wink.
Pretend it doesn't exist until it gets announced is probably the healthiest way to handle Smash Bros. Right now, which I think is also like a modest request when Smash Bros. Like just got its last DLC character and is like still an incredibly good game. So like, personally, I don't really need to think about the next Smash Bros right now because it is such a tough act. Ultimate is such a tough act to follow that like,
yeah,
this is like, I'm fine with this one for a while.
Honestly, I think it's far more likely that we see a straight port of Smash Ultimate onto whatever Nintendo's next system is before we see a new Smash of any kind. Like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe proved that people will buy the last gen's best game over and over and over and over again, right? So like, I think Smash Ultimate Deluxe is a slam dunk, super easy thing for them to make with all the DLC characters intact or like attached and all that jazz.
Yeah. I mean, the attach rate for Mario Kart 8 was like 1-to-1 when the Switch first launched. Like everybody who bought a Switch, it was sort of the same thing with Grand Theft Auto 5. For a minute there, every time a console was sold, somebody bought a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5, and that's why it's I think the second highest selling video game of all time after Minecraft. But well, I'm sorry.
That Mario Kart Switch bundle every
Black Friday.
Every Black Friday.
I know all about it. Oh boy, every year. I think, what are they going to do this year? But at least they switched it up to the version 2, because there was the first year the version 2 Switch with the extended battery life was out. They must have had like a warehouse full of those bundles with the old original launch version of the Switch, the HAK 001S or whatever it is. And so we were like, wow, Nintendo. Can't believe you would pull something like that. And guess what happened? They sold all of them. They sold them out in like a day. No, it wasn't even a day. It was like a half an hour. So people just don't care. They see a bundle with Mario Kart for $300, 3 months of Switch Online. Boom, out the door. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. You're getting the Switch bundle again that we couldn't get you last year. So, yeah, very popular. All right, I don't want to think about Black Friday ever until
next Black
October.
Friday.
October 31st of 2022, because that's why I have Monday off. I'm taking a comp day for that.
Oh, congratulations. Happy birthday, Seth.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually, every year on my birthday, I have like a meeting for either holiday gift guide or for Black Friday. So I have
condolences.
It's whatever. It's my job. It's a nice job to have. You know, I can't really complain that much. If I did, I'd be a jerk. Speaking of jerks, I have a Seth take.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not.
Cat's
not
please.
here. Unfortunately, Cat is not here.
Cat.
So like an informed and like thoughtful take that spurs discussion is probably not in the cards. So I have like, I was like, I'll do a Seth take. And I started writing and I was like, I can't organize my thoughts. I can't make this sound not mean or awful, because I'm not trying to be mean or awful, because guess what? There's so much of that. Just go to www.twitter.com if you don't believe me, because it's all there. But that sort of ties into what I was going to say. Last night when I was watching the Game Awards, there was a point where I realized if you showed me any out of context clip from any of the previous Game Awards and asked me to name what year it was, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because there's a sameness about the show that's not limited just to the presentation of the show itself, but there's a sameness to game trailers that I don't really like. They're all presented as though this game with where you're wearing a chicken head and punching a guy who's wearing like a Roman armor in a battle royale cartoon is presented in almost like a Saving Private Ryan movie trailer. And I feel that all the trailers have this sort of same feel about them, where they're focused on cinematics and story and not on the gameplay, which is 90% of what you're doing when you're playing a video game. Now, that's not to say that story is not important. I'm just saying there's a lot of sameness there. And on Twitter, I see a lot of sameness too. I'm just asking for everybody. Let's be a little less the same, and let's be a little more different. That, man, I was hoping I could pull something in there at the last second to really deliver that home. But
Yeah.
When Netflix canceled Cowboy Bebop yesterday, not only did I know instantly, I knew a second later, and then I knew 45 times after that, because everybody on my Twitter feed, which by the way, I know I said I quit, but I can't, it brought me back. It's like cigarettes. They just need to invent a gum that I can chew
That's why
on.
they call it Twitter and not Quitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. that was perfect way to end my Seth take. I just want to see some more differences. I want to see some more risks being taken. I want to see some ways to just differentiate sort of everything in the game industry, because I feel we're on the precipice of a homogenization of the way that things are presented and the way that things are covered. And I would love to see some maybe some goofiness. I don't know. Get crazy out there, kids. So that's my horrible Seth take. And you're welcome to tell me how stupid and dumb I am.
I don't think it's stupid and dumb. I think it's hard to, it's like maybe a hard thing to articulate, and it's also a hard thing to get away from, right? Because especially with an event like the Game Awards, if I am Nintendo and I have my 30-minute event that I have orchestrated myself, and I know that I want to show off specifically these 2 big first-party games plus a bunch of smaller games, then I have as much time as I want to show off not just a little cinematic guide to give you an idea of the story and what this game is about and what the mood is and how you're supposed to feel about it, but also show you actual gameplay. I have plenty of time to do that. The Game Awards doesn't lend itself as much to that because all these people are fighting and paying for 30-second, 1-minute long spots. And they only have so much time. What?
I didn't know that they bought those spaces.
I'm fairly confident this is not like some insider knowledge.
Oh.
I'm guessing that the people who are showing things there probably have to pay to be there. Yeah, but they have to get into these spots, and they have only a very limited amount of time because it's already, this show is 3.5 hours long with the pre-show. It is so long, and they have to they have to capture your attention, and there's years of research and data on how best to do that, and the best way is to show you some big explosions and some characters saying some quippy things while doing cool things. And
I do love a quip.
To give you a vibe, right? And it's harder to get a vibe from gameplay if it's not at least somewhat interspersed with these cinematics and these very story-focused things, if you don't have like a longer period of time to show it often. So I understand why people do it. I do think that you're being a little disingenuous to some of the games that were shown in there. We already talked about Cuphead, which I thought was pretty cool, a pretty cool way to show off something.
I was not being disingenuous. I was just being ignorant and not thinking this through.
Okay, disingenuous is not the right word. You're being a little mean to Cuphead. And I think you're a little mean to some of the stuff in the pre-show too. Like I thought, did you see Thirsty Suitors?
You know what? I did not watch all of the pre-show.
That's the Annapurna game?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Annapurna. So okay,
So Annapurna brought out this game called Thirsty Suitors, which to me it's a turn-based RPG about a young woman who is returned to her hometown to see her family for her sister's wedding or something, and is just being beset by all of her past mistakes while her grandmother is also sending suitors after her to try to make a match. And it's very Scott Pilgrim, but it's turn-based RPG. Yeah, okay, Red's got it. Very turn-based RPG where you're battling these suitors with like flirtation and quips. I thought this looked really cool. I love the look of this. And there's also like Jet Set Radio style skateboarding.
Yeah.
This made such a cool impression in such a short amount of time. Look at this.
Dude.
Look at these guys.
Okay, see, this is what I mean. This is not samey at all. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see more of.
Should have been in the main show.
All right.
What even is, that's a whole other conversation of what even is the difference between the pre-show and the post and the main show.
I mean, other than like Sid hosting, what was because they even gave out awards during the pre-show.
They always do.
That's a whole nother take where it's like, oh, by the way, here's the 14 games that won an award. Now here's let's talk to, Imagine Dragons and have them sing a song. Or, oh, by the way, man, I don't want to sound like bitchy or anything, but Sting sounded like really flat, didn't he? When he was singing, he was not hitting those notes, man. His heart was not in it.
I don't know. I was writing an article. I don't know what's happening. Like, musical performances when you're on news duty is just great. I have 3 minutes to finish this article before they show something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who the guy was who came and rapped with Imagine Dragons, but man, I was like, okay, this guy is just spitting hot fire, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm not a not generally a big fan of musical acts anyway, unless I'm at a concert. So
Jeff Keighley, put more of them in the Game Awards so I have time to write articles. Thank you.
Just the MTV Music Awards, but with games.
Here's one thing I will say, Seth.
Yes.
I have basically logged off Twitter entirely. Like I check in every couple weeks for like work stuff pretty much, or like
making healthy choices,
interact with like folk who say nice things or whatever. And it is like one of the greatest decisions I have made in the modern era is to not just be on Twitter. Because the difference is like you can use it to talk to people and you can use it to like share things other people have made. But like as long as you just like don't scroll, as long as you just don't scroll.
It's so tempting.
Like, you're fine. And like that's what I've come to peace with. Because I agree, it is very funny. And I don't think this is unique to your point. I don't think this is unique to video games, but it is very funny to see something happen and then 20 people make the same joke at the same time, right?
Yes.
Like, and so I agree to that extent. I don't think that's a unique to video games thing, but I do think
it's absolutely not. And it's like, as somebody who loves comedy, as somebody who used to run a successful satire site, somebody who wrote for the Hard Drive. I mean, I'm just letting you know all my
You're very funny. We know.
Thank you very much.
We agree.
But I realized that Twitter, it doesn't necessarily foster people coming up with the most clever jokes. It's who can come up with the most obvious joke the fastest. And then that one will become the viral joke. And that is unhealthy for comedy. We want good, funny jokes. But unfortunately, by the time somebody comes up with like a really, unless they're, there's people who are just, brains are wwired to just be the most clever people out there. Like Pixelated Boat always has incredible takes. But unless, I forgot where I was going. Just don't listen to me. I was on a tirade. Just don't tweet. Don't use Twitter anymore.
Tom says don't tweet.
No, Tom is right. And one thing that I noticed coming back to it, because it is very hard to do our job without having some sort of connection to Twitter, is that it is impossibly dense. If you look away for 3 minutes and come back, you're like, what is this meme? People will reference like something that happened without referencing like names. And I'm like, everyone's mad at somebody and I don't know why or who this person is. And there's an assumption of familiarity. And the only way to become a part of that conversation is to just keep your dead-eyed stare right on the Twitter timeline and have it just eat your soul away.
Boy,
but
I'll tell you,
feral hogs thing, the big feral hogs thing. I was offline, like I was away from Twitter for some reason when that joke blew up, and I remember coming back after it had died down, and for months, people would just reference something about feral hogs, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was because I missed like a 12-hour window of Twitter joke one time. Yeah, I don't know what anyone's talking about now.
It's been really nice to not be on Twitter. This is a tangent as well, but like
it's a Tom take.
Occasionally, Jonathan Dornbush will just message me and be like, have you heard about Bean Dad? And I'll be like, I have no clue what that is. And then he'll be like, cool. And we won't talk about it. Like, and that's like the most satisfying thing in the world is to know that there's something people are out there mad about. And I just don't have to have it in my life.
It's good. It's refreshing.
To both of you, I am perpetually online. I can't quit Twitter. The thing you are missing out on, like the only actual thing you're missing out on, is about every 6 months, someone actually does come up with something that is genuinely very good and funny, and it's really good. But it only happens about once every 6 months. And if you're okay just not knowing what that is, then you're golden. You don't need Twitter.
Yeah.
It is.
And to be fair, also there is some like good work with like a lot of the like, stuff that has been coming out about like developer harassment stuff like misconduct. There's a lot of good ways to get information about that part of kind of important things within the industry too. But like, thankfully I can get those elsewhere, I think.
Or you could read Reb's story on IGN.com about the workplace culture at Bungie and how they're working to improve it.
You should do that.
That came out like hours before we recorded this.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring Twitter right now.
All comes back around.
All right. Well, we'll talk about real quick what came out this week. Life is Strange: True Colors, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, which I have but I have not played. Thank you, Celia, for the code. Loop Hero, which I will be talking about later.
Loop Hero.
Witchwood. And today on Nintendo Switch Online, if you have the expansion pass, is Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. And just announced today, Banjo-Kazooie coming next month. Are either one of you going to be playing some Paper Mario?
No?
You know,
No?
I might.
I played it on Wii U Virtual Console, and I found it very charming, but I just sort of fell off of it. So yeah, I might too. I might charge up the old
Yeah.
N64 controller, have me some Paper Mario, but there's so many
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm saying no. It's a great game. Paper Mario 1 is awesome, and you should play it if you haven't at least just a little bit, just because to know where that series came from. But at the same time, like, it is a game I have played multiple times previously, and I'm just like,
See, I've never,
you know what? There's a lot coming out right now.
Yeah, I never played through it, so I'm excited. I never played Super
I didn't
Mario
finish it.
RPG either. So I have 2 games. Just 2 games to play. That's all I'm gonna play. Just kidding. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Reb, what have you been playing? You've been busy.
I have like sadly not touched my Nintendo Switch very much lately, so I don't have a whole lot of Switch stuff. I've mostly been playing Tales of Arise. But I finished New Game Plus on Ring Fit Adventure, which I've talked about on this podcast.
Beast mode
before.
unlocked. That's incredible.
Doing Ring Fit Adventure.
Wow.
There is I have taken a slight break, both due to falling down the stairs and injuring my tailbone and making it hard to do half the exercises. But also because I finished it and I wanted a little break for myself. But I think here probably tomorrow I'm gonna start back up again, working on the final mode of Ring Fit Adventure. Which is called Master.
Yeah.
It is genuinely. I've said this on this podcast before. I don't want to just like beat this to death, but like it is such a good game. It is a genuinely incredible JRPG. I think it is innovative and interesting in ways that did not get talked about enough when it came out, because exercise is hard, and I think it was hard for a lot of people to complete this game. Yeah. The thing I'm actually very excited about is if you played any Ring Fit Adventure, you know that as you level up, you unlock new exercise. So you have like a bar of a certain amount of exercises. It's a turn-based RPG. You do an exercise, it does damage to the enemy. As you level up, you unlock more exercises that you can assign to the slots on your bar. You get more slots as you go along. And so you can basically build a routine that you want to do as you fight these monsters. You get stronger and stronger exercises. Well, you hit a certain point. That video, Jonathan doing this. That's great. That's great. You hit a certain point, it's like around level 230, where you stop unlocking new exercises. You just run out. And so you're stuck the same, because they all do different amounts of damage. And so for the majority of New Game Plus, I was stuck with the same exercises that did the most damage. And some of them were pretty good, but some of them were not the exercises I necessarily wanted to be doing, but I had to do them because the ones I wanted to be doing did too little damage. But when you get to master mode, it unlocks a final set of every exercise at the maximum possible damage all of them can do. So you can, and they have no recharge on them. So you can basically build whatever routine you want at that point and do it. And it still kind of encourages you to use, like, they're all color coded. So arms are red. So if you see a red enemy, you want to use arm exercises on it and so forth. There's still a little bit of that. But for the most part, you can just do whatever exercise you want, as much as you want, and build your own routine from there. And I am so excited to have finally unlocked that. I've been like doing research as to which ones are the best to do for X, Y, and Z, and I built out this whole routine, and I'm so stoked. Like, it's so good. I don't know what I'm going to do when I finish master mode. Like, what's left at that point? Give me another Ring Fit, Nintendo. Please give me another one. Give me DLC, anything. I'm begging you.
I was kind of surprised that they haven't really supported this with DLC, as popular as it is. There was a time in 2020 where you could not buy this game. Like everybody was out there buying it, but like
they added the DDR thing, the rhythm game.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't done that. I thought it was hard. It didn't quite do for me what I wanted it to do. For me, the fact that there's a story and that I can keep leveling up and progressing through different levels is sort of.
I did not realize that any of this until you started talking about it, like that there was this whole story things. But don't tell my wife, but I got it for Christmas for her.
It's really good, and the story's really good, and it's really empowering too. I know a lot of people said that, and it was true. We Fit and We Fit You kind of had some weird body shamey stuff in there. Like when you started the game and you stood on there, it weighed you. And if you didn't like basically everything on BMI, which is if you know anything about BMI, it's kind of a nonsense tool anyway. But if you like weighed a certain amount, it would make your meat fat and would like shame you.
Yeah.
For that.
I remember the first time I stepped on my Wii Fit board, it oinked.
Yeah. And if you
It's not
want,
true.
oh really? That's so upsetting.
No, it's not true. That's like a Norm Macdonald joke that I just.
Okay, don't do that to me. I would have believed that. But it would do things like that. If you didn't play for a while, it'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you exercising?" But Ring Fit is not like that at all. It is really gentle with you. If you come back, it's just like, "Hey, you haven't been here in a while. Like, do you want to mess with the difficulty? Are you good? Like, cool. We're happy you're here."
I love it.
And it doesn't do anything like that. It's very focused on having a healthy attitude towards fitness, and the story itself is
Critical
about confronting a character who does have an unhealthy attitude towards fitness and basically educating him on what it means to have a good relationship with your body. And I loved it. It's been so meaningful to me. I will never shut up about Ring Fit.
Every time you talk about Ring Fit, I'm like, oh, I should just break it out right now. Start playing it. It sounds so fun and delightful,
It's
and I
really
want
fun.
to, I'm looking forward to it. But so Ring Fit is what Reb's been playing. Tom, what have you been playing? Nothing.
Well,
You've been too busy too.
I've been playing less Switch stuff lately, I guess. So I'm playing through another run of Persona 5 Royal right now, which is not on Switch still, sadly. Holding out hope that one day something will happen. That was a Game Awards announcement, right? Is that we're getting the Persona 4 fighting game from 2013 is coming to Switch, which is just so funny to me. No hate to that game or the people who are excited for it, but it's just like that's kind of a funny one to pull back, 8 years later or whatever. Anyway, so I'm playing that. I'm playing something for review I can't talk about right now. And then I have been playing Metroid Dread here and there because I came to that one. Yeah, it's a very good game. I came to that one late, I guess I should say. Not like super, super late, but like I only started it last month. And I've been kind of plugging away at it a little bit slowly. I hit a part, without spoilers, that I got very frustrated by and stopped playing.
It's hard to exactly nail down which part you mean.
It involves an enemy that can see through walls. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
That should give most people an idea who played it. The thing I really appreciate about this game, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this a million times on the show, so I won't go like crazy deep.
Oh, we can always talk about Metroid Dread.
But one thing I will say that has really impressed me about this, because I haven't talked about it at all yet, really, with people, is I love the bosses because they are incredibly hard the first time you fight them. And then by the time you can beat them, they feel incredibly easy. And I think that is like genuinely like master class levels of design that you can make a boss, like consistently make bosses feel that way.
Yeah.
Where that they are just like, how am I ever going to do this? And then by the end, you feel like nothing has changed about you or your abilities, but like suddenly you just like understand it in a way that you didn't before. So I think that's really, really impressive. I am a little bit, I guess I should say, I was surprised by how linear it is. It's a very, very linear game, at least in the first kind of half or so. It just sort of like sends you on your path and you don't really have a lot of opportunities to like, you have opportunities to backtrack, of course, but like there's not really much need to until you've like unlocked a lot more abilities and then you get to explore more. It's very on rails for a while, which is not like a massive criticism of it. It's just like something I was surprised to see, I guess. But yeah, I am really, really enjoying it.
I mean, there is some sequence breaking, and I think I haven't done any of the sequence breaking, but what I like about it is it's not obvious, but the famous I don't want to spoil it because people will get mad, but there's like a famous boss fight where if you have the morph ball before you fight this boss, like they anticipated that sequence being broken. So it's I think that's really cool, is that it's not obvious that you can sequence break, but they knew that people would.
I guess I more meant that like there would be times where I would be exploring and I'd be like, oh, okay, so is this path the way I'm supposed to go? And I jump down a little thing and then it'd be like, oh, you can't get back up. You got to just keep going.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like there was a lot of that where you would have to like close a door permanently behind you in order to go through the next door. And that eventually goes away because eventually you get abilities that let you get around all of these obstacles that you've created yourself. So it's not like a permanent thing. It's just,
what they say, when Metroid Dread closes a door, it opens a window. They don't say that. Nobody says that. Yeah. Do you want to know what I've been playing?
Yes, please. Oh, what, Reb?
I was going to ask, Tom, do you play a lot of other Metroidvanias, especially like more recent ones, like last 5-6 years or so?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite genres.
I wonder if any of that comes from the fact that the Metroidvania genre has very much tended more, I think, in recent years to a much more open design.
I think you're right.
Maybe. Like,
No,
and so you're kind of
totally right.
expecting that, but Metroid originally is, I think, a little more linear in its earlier
Yeah,
stages usually.
I think specifically what surprised me in this was how many times it would lock a door behind you, I guess is the way I would put it. But you are 100% right that like, I mean, I've talked about Hollow Knight on this show endlessly, but like Hollow Knight is a game where like you can go any direction. You can go 5 different directions at once. And if you get stuck on something, you can just turn around and go do a different thing instead. And like that is absolutely not what Metroid Dread is. And it's also not what Metroid Dread is trying to be, right? It's not like it's not a shortcoming that it is not that, because it's not trying to be Hollow Knight. It is its own thing. Sure. And I think you're completely right that like Metroidvanias have 100% started leaning towards that style of world and map and progression a lot more than the original Metroids did. And this is much more in the style of the original Metroids. And I'm not faulting it for that by any means.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good game. I did see some conversation in the NVC Facebook group actually saying, you know, like people who had played so much Hollow Knight were kind of disappointed by Dread a little bit. So yeah I think it'd be interesting to see what the next Metroid, you know, side-scrolling Metroid game is now that the story is basically wrapped up. But as far as an evolution of the series, but yeah, Metroid Dread, you could do worse. I have been playing 2 incredible games. Loop Hero came to Switch yesterday.
Loop Hero!
Love Loop Hero. And I knew from the start, when I first played that game on PC, I was like, this would be perfect on Switch. And it turns out it is. I played it while I was watching the Game Awards last night. And I just kept doing my loops and pushing that envelope, but not going too far because I did that way too much on the PC version. I just got frustrated. It was my own fault. So now when I get a lot of stuff, I'll go back to my camp and I'll go, back to my village and build that up. But if you haven't played Loop Hero, I cannot recommend it enough because it is wonderful. And it is the perfect sort of like, I just need to kill some time game, but it's not a game that you really play in the background because it does require some strategy. It's like almost like a card game, but not a card game. It's, I love Loop Hero a whole heck of a lot. And I'm probably going to play it as soon as the day is over and put it on the old big screen. Because my one complaint is my old man eyes. I kind of have a hard time reading the font on the OLED screen. But what can you do? I mean, I guess I could probably turn up the font size, maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
Seth, how many bosses have you beaten? Like, how far are you?
On the Switch version, I haven't even beaten the first boss yet. I'm trying to go OP as I possibly can. I don't remember on the PC how far I got. I primarily spent my time getting frustrated by making bad decisions, which is sort of the story of my life up until I got hired by IGN. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually like playing through it in the Switch. And plus, I'm more apt to play a game like that when I can just play it anywhere. So playing it in bed underneath all my warm blankets. It's snowing in Maine, by the way. Very cozy.
Ooh, jealous.
Perfect Loop Hero weather. Speaking of snow, however, I took Pear's advice, I took Max Scoville's advice, and I started playing SnowRunner. And everyone who said, oh, it's the perfect Seth game was right. Because, oh my God, I love SnowRunner. It is Breath of the Wild with trucks. You could just go anywhere and just drive over, in the mud. And it's awesome. And I found an International Scout, which is like a vehicle that I would like to own in real life. And then I jacked it up a little bit, put some big old mud running tires on there. It goes everywhere. I can scout around. I just got my off-road truck, which is like the civilian version of a Deuce and a Half, which is a military truck, which is way better than the Hummer in every possible way, in spite of the fact that it's like Korea era. But having driven an actual Deuce and a Half when I was in the military, I can vouch, and a Hummer, I can say for sure, oh, there's a Hummer right there, but that's the civilian version. The Deuce and a Half goes up a 60-degree incline, goes everywhere. The only thing I can say is that it doesn't have a lot of leg room, and I smashed my knees a lot trying to shift gears in it because they don't come in automatic. But yeah, man, SnowRunner's so good. I wish it had cross saves, because I would love to just play it like on the Xbox and then just jump right in. Like I said, like I like cozying up in bed with some SnowRunner on the Switch, but maybe in the future. I haven't really done. It's my open world curse. I haven't really done a lot of the game. I've mostly just spent just driving around muddy back roads like I do in real life. That's another great thing about this, is like I've done a lot of this stuff in real life. So it's much more fun on a video game to get a truck unstuck.
Looking at this gameplay of it's all these big trucks like driving through mud and snow. It looks in like water. It looks like how I play Forza, but slow.
It is.
That's just what I do. I just try to drive cars up hills that they're not supposed to go up, and drive cars into lakes and things. Except I do it very fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the kind of things that surprised me the most about SnowRunner was how realistic it feels when you're going through the mud. I mean, there's a couple of small touches that it doesn't exactly get right, but by and large, like, this is a sim of driving trucks through the mud. And it sounds so stupid. Like, I spent 2 hours hauling a fuel trailer across the map, and I got it stuck between two trees. And most of the 2 hours was spent of me just being like, I'm not giving up. I am getting this unstuck. And I can't explain it. It sounds like if I had been streaming this, even if I were like a big streamer with 20,000 viewers, I would have had one, because it was so uninteresting and boring to watch. But for me, I was having the most fun. I'm like, I'm getting this out. We're not getting stuck in there. Oh, and they just got a main expansion for it too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about this game too is that all the like your vehicles and their position in the world are like persistent, right? So like if you get a truck stuck in the mud, you can like go get one of your other trucks and like bring it over to winch out your first truck. Yeah. So like it is a total sim, because this was the sequel, right, to Spin Tire's Mud Runner, which then just got like an expansion that just made it start calling it Mud Runner, and then they made Snow Runner. And like the whole deal with Spin Tires way back in the day was like it's unparalleled mud simulation. Like you said, you sounded silly for saying that, but like that was like the on the box bullet point selling point for this series, right? It's cool to hear that it works so well on Switch, because this is a game. It's a pretty game, and has a lot of like those simulation aspects. So it's not necessarily a game I would expect to work well on Switch necessarily. So it's cool to hear you're having fun with it.
I mean, I have to confess, I've been playing it on Game Pass.
Oh, well, it might, we'll see.
But I want it on Switch. That's why I was saying I wish I had crossplay. Like, I wish I could play it on my TV in 4K on my Xbox, and then just, jump it onto the Switch and play it, wherever else I want to. Because apparently it runs at 60 FPS on the Switch.
Yeah,
is,
I mean, the fact that it runs
Metroid Dread.
Even if you've been playing it on Game Pass, like the fact that it is functional on Switch is like cool, right? Like that's just, the Switch needs more games like this.
Yeah, it's so fun. It is the funnest thing. I might just get it on Switch just to play it like on the go. And plus I know a little bit more now. I've made a lot of rookie mistakes at the beginning of my game, and I don't have a lot of money, so my trucks aren't that great. And I made some accessories that I didn't need, like a crane. I didn't need a crane.
It sounds like you know what this sounds like, Seth? Not to rag on the Switch. I apologize, NVC listeners. It sounds like a Steam Deck game for you.
Ooh. If I were going to get a Steam Deck, though, that thing's like $600.
Then it's a Switch game.
It would be. Oh, man. I just want it everywhere. Just give it, we got Civ 6 has crossplay with PC and Xbox and PlayStation on the Nintendo Switch.
Hades has cross saves.
Yeah.
Divinity Original Sin 2 has cross saves, right?
We have the technology.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I didn't realize that this was like a persistent game. Like, they're still updating it. I thought it was just like a one and done. They put it out but no, they're like adding new areas. Like I said, they just added like Maine. Like, you can go bombing around.
Oh, you must be so happy.
You have no idea. It's like the weirdest
your tender Seth heart.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like back in the day when I, PlayStation 2 and I played Tony Hawk, constantly. Tony Hawk 2, Tony Hawk 3, whatever. And then I would go out into the real world and I'd see like pipes and curbs and I'd be like, ooh, I could trick off of that. Now in real life, I'll see a truck and or a hill. I'd be like, I could go down that hill. Oh, I have a truck. I could go down that hill in my truck. I'm not going to. But
It's the little things in life.
yeah, it is. It is the funnest game. I love it so much. I did not expect that I was going to love it. If it had come out this year, it would be my game of the year. I played the entire time that I had off. I was like, I'm going to accomplish something. I accomplished nothing other than, I built a bridge. I hauled some loads up to the bridge construction site and helped save the flooded people of Michigan. So there it is. SnowRunner. Can't recommend it enough.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. Everyone was right. You were all right. So let's move on to question block. There was a question last week that I wanted to get to, but we didn't have enough time to talk about it. But we have a fair amount of time, and this is from Carl DeNovio. Carl asks, "Is it more important for a remake to appeal to original fans or to a new audience?" And I really like this question because it got me thinking, and it just both sides of this just kept spinning around in my head. And of course, I landed on the most cowardly answer of all, which is both. It has to do both.
That's
things.
the right answer.
It's the right answer. But Reb, what would you expound upon that, please?
I mean, what is the right answer? But spiritually, it is the right answer because you want the people who loved the original game, who made the remake possible in the first place, to be happy. But you also don't only want them to play it. You want new people to get to experience it as well. That's why it's the right answer. But if we're absolutely having to pick, I actually think the answer is new fans.
Really?
Because the old fans of this game, whatever it may be, are always going to love that original. Like by not doing a remake at all, you've not deprived them of anything. They still have this thing that they love. But the idea behind a remake existing at all isn't really just to give some people who liked a game 20 years ago what they want, right? It's to bring it to people who have never gotten a chance to play it before, who didn't experience it when it was out, who have no reason to go back to it, who don't have the hardware or the technology or whatever they need to go back and play something on the N64 or whatever. Like the whole point is for a new group to get to experience the thing that people loved so much back then. And for any of that to happen, it has to work for new people. Like if you make a one-to-one remake of something that had things that made it inaccessible or challenging, or where maybe we have however many years more knowledge and maybe the things that were in it are not necessarily the kinds of things you want to put in a game in 2021, then you have to update them to make sure that people now in this day and age who have never gotten a chance to experience this understand and can connect with it. And I think that's if you absolutely have to pick one of the two, I think that's the most important one.
Damn, that's a good answer. Now I have to put Tom on the spot.
No, I think
I'm. Oh, by the way, this is a contest.
Yeah, I think I'm convinced. Like I was trying to think about it because it's a tricky thing to think about, to be honest. And I think honestly, Reb just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not talking about remakes, right? Like if you're like, I'm thinking about like the Nintendo Switch Online old games, right? The brutally difficult nature of NES and Super Nintendo games might appeal to the original fans of those games as a part of what was so appealing about them. But like to a brand new gamer nowadays, like the idea of not being able to save mid-run sort of just sucks. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's just not an appealing thing. And it makes those games much, much harder to convince someone to try and play who's not used to that type of game. So like, saving mid-run may or may not appeal to an old fan, but it does appeal to a new fan in a way that I think is more important, probably.
Yeah.
So I think
I would also argue
Reb said it right.
I would also argue that those things, like not being able to save mid-run and those other things, they sucked back then too.
Oh yeah.
We were all just like,
we just didn't know any better.
And had infinite free time and didn't know that something better was not possible in some cases at the time, but we didn't know that better could potentially exist someday. And so we just put up with it because we were kids and the thing was fun because we didn't know what we could have. And now that we have other things, like I think I said this somewhere else, but people don't, I think a lot of people don't actually play a lot of the classic library that comes back, or they might play it for a couple hours. They might like dip into a game here or there to relive some nostalgia, but you don't have mass waves of people going back and replaying the entirety of all those NES games. That is not how people play games. I think we've had data that backs that up too. for all the classic libraries that are available. People don't do that.
Yeah.
There's kind of a reason why they don't. It's because some of that stuff does not play well. Even if you liked it as a kid, it doesn't work when you're a busy adult and you're used to games that accommodate that.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
The quality of life improvements is what I believe we refer to them as.
Yes.
Most of all, I said that it's the cowardly answer to say both, but now that I've thought about it, now that I've heard what you two have to say, I'm going to be contrarian. I'm going to say no. I actually think, and this is in the most superficial way, but I think it is more important for a remake to appeal to the original fans because it's free marketing, and through their excitement and discussion and discourse, people who are familiar with like a famous game, like the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which is apparently horrible. But if you never played that, and all of a sudden you see everyone who's maybe a little older, maybe you look up to, is like super excited about it. Boom! It is appealed to the original fans, and through their excitement, now you're bringing in the new audience, and that's where I think the Grand Theft Auto trilogy failed. Sure, it appealed to it brought in a new audience, but it didn't do the right things. It was a buggy mess.
It did not bring in a new audience. That game was just bad.
Well, I mean,
the new trilogy was bad, not the original game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think
in the question of is it more important to appeal to new fans or originals, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy answered neither.
Yeah, that is sadly. I mean, that was just the example that came to my mind because it's like the most like recent big remake that I could think of. But no, I think it is important to hook, to get that marketing, that free marketing hook of the excitement of the original fans. Like if they told me tomorrow they're making an SSX Tricky remake, I would lose my damn mind and I'd be all over the internet. But
Seth, okay,
yes.
So if they say, here's your example. So they say tomorrow they're making this Tricky remake, whatever.
Yes. Run DMC is back.
They haven't released it yet. So you don't know if it's going to appeal to you or not, but you're excited about it.
That doesn't matter.
Talk about it.
Yes.
You're going to do their marketing for them.
I know.
As an old
You think I don't know this?
But regardless of whether you know if it's going to appeal to you or not, like all of this gets done before it even comes out, and you even know if it's actually going to be something that touches you or not.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
I'm part of the problem.
The preamble doesn't matter.
To admit it. Yeah. So
the existence of such a thing will do that work for them.
Yeah, that is. But then if they, but if they said, we've got all the original voices, Oliver Platt is back, I would be, flipping my lid. That's the only one who I can remember. There was a bunch of like famous people who did voices for SSX Tricky.
Wait, I thought that was a joke.
No, Oliver Platt is
Platt is a voice in SSX Tricky. Wait, hold the phone.
You want to have your mind blown? The town that I used to live in, the island where I grew up, Oliver Platt has a summer home that was like down the street from my house. So sometimes in the summer, I'd see this like he's like 6'5", and I'd see this giant man on a bicycle. I'd be like, oh, it's Oliver Platt. He's riding by my house right now. So I'm thinking of taking my copy of SSX Tricky out there and getting him to autograph it. So yeah, Oliver Platt.
I'm imagining this Oliver Platt fellow biking down your street, and suddenly a grown man is like chasing after him with a copy of SSX Tricky. Will you sign this?
He's very nice. He actually, I've like been into his, I've done work for him, and he's like a really nice guy, and his family.
Well, that's like slightly more normal then.
But it still would be weird if I was like, hey man, I came to your house so you could sign this. And he'd be like,
this is such a tangent. But the cast of SSX Tricky, David Arquette.
Yes, that's
Lucy Liu, Oliver Platt, Macy Gray. These are all like those are people are all voices in that game.
And Rozelle is the narrator. Rozelle. But with that,
happy birthday, Tom.
Incredible.
With that mind-blowing revelation, that is all the time we have on NVC for this week. But you should follow us on Twitter at NVC Podcast, or you can submit your questions to NVC@IGN.com or on the post on the NVC Facebook page. Thank you, Reb, and fan favorite Tom. Not to say that Reb is not a fan favorite, because she is, and she's one
It's Tom. It's okay.
You're both.
We can say it's Tom.
Hey, look, you're both my favorites. So I also want to thank Red on the ones and twos, and Logan behind the scenes. Most of all, thanks to you for hanging out with us. And remember, NVC is the only place where you can
get the thing.